Hey everybody, just wanted to make a quick video on the European refugee crisis. This is actually a topic that I'm surprised more people haven't picked up on because it's actually extremely interesting, and this is a very important piece of the overall uh, puzzle of how they're trying to divide and conquer most of the Western world with an immigration crisis. And this goes from almost every single country. The main talking point we hear in the U.S. from Donald Trump has to do with immigration. Whenever you have a group of people that have some sort of cultural adhesion, be it a linguistic, religious, racial, if you mix that up, if you insert the other into their society, it's going to create friction. It always has throughout time. One of the things I remembered hearing after this refugee crisis had started to really accelerate in Europe was something Bashar al-Assad said, the Syrian president. As we know, most of the refugees are coming from the war that was started in Syria. And who's behind that? Well, it's an interesting video in its own right, but the result of this civil war, as they're calling it, and it's not actually a civil war because his nation's being attacked from the outside. But anyway, the result of this has been a huge number of refugees, potentially millions. But the interesting thing was, before this event started, Assad claims they were already setting up refugee camps in Turkey.
Explain to me why people are fleeing to go to refugee camps in Jordan and Turkey. What are they fleeing from?
Actually,
The
those
Syrian
camps,
army?
no, those camps started being built before having any real conflicts in Syria. So it was premeditated at
But
the
it's over 3 million
to
people.
be used as a humanitarian headline, entitled, and to be used against Syria, to be a pretext for military intervention. That's how it started.
Because the refugee angle here was actually what they were going for. They wanted a huge number of refugees to become a problem for Europe. And this also has to do with Erdogan, the Turkish president. Turkey has a long history of flooding the rest of Europe with immigrants.
No, those camps started being built before having any real conflicts in Syria.
And the refugee camps being set up before the fact is proof that this was planned all along. Okay, so then what are some other indications that this refugee crisis is in fact happening on purpose? Well, I think it's a little strange to me that so many of these people are showing up in what appear to be the same type of boat. This really long, black, inflatable type of boat. They also have some white ones. But in the Syria crisis, it's mostly been these black rafts that are showing up. And the amazing thing is, well, the funny thing is, most of these people seem to have the same life vests on. And some of the life vests even have the same writing all through it. This doesn't seem like an amateurish. This seems coordinated. And it seems like a lot of other times when you see these police provocateurs wearing the same boots and that kind of a thing, similar, where you have all of these life jackets and all of these pool supplies. People even have a whole bunch of inner tubes like blown up, and all of the supplies appear very new. They don't seem to have been used much. The boats appear to be new. The life jackets all appear to be very new. The people, when arriving in Greece, look like they've been on a very short boat ride to me. Turkey is staging these people. They're supplying the boats, the life rafts, and they're sending them off from the refugee camps that were set up long before the Syria crisis began. This is an attempt at creating tension in Europe, creating the other in Europe, but I hope a lot of people start taking a much more critical look at these refugees and how they're being helped through Europe to essentially kind of like take over Sweden and Germany, or at least create a whole bunch of cultural conflict there. And that's the whole plan. After the Schengen Agreement, that's the European Free Movement Agreement. Basically, once you get into an EU state like Greece, you can travel anywhere. And Germany's Merkel is basically helping this whole thing along because she's providing free refugee crisis to any Syrian, and they don't even have to prove that they were part of the crisis. So let's just think about this for a second. If Germany and Sweden and all these EU member countries are really worried about the war on terror and ISIS, isn't it a little strange to anybody else that they would suddenly allow in hundreds of thousands of people directly from this conflict region, and most of these, a very high number of these people probably have some connection to a known terrorist group? To me, that seems like total insanity if in fact the ISIS threat is as real as they want everybody to believe it is. Why would you be inviting all of these people directly from the conflict region? A lot of these people's villages were supposedly invaded by ISIS, and isn't it possible that an ISIS sleeper cell or two, or just a whole bunch of people allegiant to ISIS, would just be inserted into your country in Europe? So to me that seems a little ridiculous. So anyway, I just want people to take a closer look at all these images of these immigrants, or these migrants. In my opinion, they're just being shipped over by Turkey. Erdogan is directly behind most of this, and this whole crisis was created before the fact, as Assad pointed out. You don't start building refugee cities before there is any refugee crisis. That just doesn't make any sense unless it's all planned.